Did you know the most experienced urologists, surgeons and doctors are right here? Did you know 6,023 successful transplants have taken place already? Did you know anyone and everyone is treated equally? Did you know that advanced robotic surgery is being used? Did you know 330,000 dialyses take place every year, non-stop, 24/7? Did you know there's no cash counter? Did you know 9,255 people have already registered for organ donation, and you can too? Did you know that you can help by registering as organ donor? Register now. SIUT, real quality healthcare with dignity and respect.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is a conversation with Dr. Adib Rivzi and friends, a truly global broadcast, broadcasting from the West Coast of America, the East Coast of America, and in Karachi in Pakistan. This conversation is brought to you by SIUT North America. Established in the year 2000, SIUT North America is a charitable organization dedicated to health-related humanitarian causes, with a major focus on helping the Sindh Institute of Urology and Transplantation in Pakistan secure necessary funds for medicines, treatments, and equipment so that patients are treated free of charge and without discrimination. Welcome. We're very excited to have this virtual podcast for everybody and share some stories and some information about this 4-decade-old institution that is doing so much good work in Karachi. My name is Ali Nazar. As I said, live on the West Coast of the United States in California. I am a radio host, an author, and also an entrepreneur. And I'm pleased to be here and facilitate this conversation with my partner today, Leena Moiz, who is the Executive Director of Feeling Blessed, which is a mobile donation app for Zakat here in the United States. Hi, Leena.
Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Good, good.
It's good to see you.
You too. Go ahead. Take it away.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm Leena. I'm one of the, like Ali introduced me, I'm one of the executive directors at Feeling Blessed, which is a mobile app for donations to any of your favorite Pakistani or North American charities. I'd like to, welcome to feed Dr. Seema Hashmi and Dr. Naqi. Dr. Seema Hashmi is a pediatric nephrologist at SIUT. And, Dr. Seema, how about you introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Seema Hashmi, pediatric nephrologist, professor at the Department of Nephrology here at SIUT. After completion of my training in general pediatrics, I further pursued and got myself trained at Sick Kids Toronto and completed my second fellowship in pediatric nephrology. And I am associated with this great institute for the last 20 years.
Great. That's, a good wealth of knowledge that you brought back from Toronto and implemented in SIUT. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Naqi, who's a professor of pathology at SIUT. Dr. Naqi, how about you tell everyone a little bit about your experience?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Mirza Naqi Zafar. I'm professor of pathology at SIUT. I graduated in London, did my PhD, and came back to Pakistan. And I've been involved in running and setting up the lab at SIUT for the last 30 years. doing transplant immunology and general lab pathology, also involved in research and publication at SIUT.
And I understand you also have a little bit of an administrative role at SIUT.
We all have administrative roles, each one of us.
Okay, that's great. Now, of course, he needs no introduction. He's one of the biggest philanthropists from Pakistan, renal transplant surgeon, the founder, the man himself, Dr. Adib Rivzi. Welcome, Dr. Rivzi. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's great to see you again.
Actually, I am very much excited to see you people. You are healthy, you are happy, and I think that nothing could be better than to see the old friends, the supporters who have been working and helping you endlessly for so many years. In spite of my weaknesses, we have got the support from my friends like you.
Likewise, Dr. Rivzi, it's always a pleasure, meeting with you and speaking with you. So my first question is, what does it mean? We hear SIUT say this often, that they provide healthcare with dignity. So what does it mean to provide healthcare with dignity?
Well, actually, and most of the places in the world, you have to beg for the health services. You have to beg for it. For example, even in the developed countries, you have to pay for the help. If you cannot pay, you have to beg. You have to beg somebody, a philanthropist or the government, to get it. And that is something which is very demeaning for a human being, to ask somebody to help how to prolong his life. So that is what society meant, that we founded, that health should be the birthright of every human being, irrespective of caste, color, creed, or belief, and should have a right to enter, to knock the door of any hospital in case and get the treatment. And that is the minimum a human being can do for another human being. And maybe that is based on my own observation. When I was a medical student, otherwise, I knew that people used to pawn off their rings and all those things just to provide the medical treatment to their loved ones. And that was very painful. And the more I looked in those things, the more painful it became for me, that why there should not be a system where every human being, irrespective of his caste, color, creed, or religious belief, should have a right, rather birthright, to get at least three things. He should get his employment, he should get his mental health, he should get his education free. But the three things, out of three things, I don't think I can talk about anything else otherwise. Some labels will be attached to me. So I can say, feel which I am. In medicine, I have seen the catastrophes happening for those who were not able to afford to provide medicine for their kids. So that's why I said a human being should not lose his life because he cannot afford to buy the medicine. His life's empty. And the only way is that it should be mandatory for every state, for every country, that they should commit to provide healthcare to their people, irrespective they are. Until unless you make healthcare, education, and employment compulsory, it will not be possible to develop a society which will be healthy, which will be peaceful, which will make progress.
Dr. Adib, Assalamu alaikum. Thanks so much for being on the broadcast. I want to add a follow-up question to this, because listening to you talk, it seems so obvious that healthcare should be a basic human right in all societies. But we've seen over this year, with so much problems in delivering healthcare for people. That's not the case. It's not a basic right. And certainly here in America, there's huge disparities and inequalities in access to healthcare. So can you tell us a little bit about how SIUT has implemented this vision? And not only implementing this private partnership, public partnership that you've developed, but also what I find so inspiring about it is the state-of-the-art healthcare you provide. Not just that you're providing healthcare, it's state-of-the-art, it's some of the best healthcare. So how do you actually implement that?
Well, before I comment on this, let me tell you how we got involved in corona epidemic. For 1 month, we kept quiet. We saw that people were making the effort to help, but at the end of it, it was money which was everything. No one could get admission in a hospital until unless he was able to at least deposit ₹500,000 rupees in the hospital, and which was not possible. Not possible for more than 5% people. So people were dying. We had nothing to do with this part of the epidemic. We are surgeons, basically surgeons. We are transplant surgeons. We are nephrologists. We have got nothing to do. But having observed things for about 3 weeks, we decided that we can't leave because our own patient started getting involved in the disease. So we managed that we should provide the aid, and we are very happy that whatever money we had, we put all the money, and then people came forward to help us. And the result is that we have got one of the largest center where the people who have recovered or who were sick, they were placed here in Karachi. And we even went to the interior of Sindh, where we provided the facilities to the patient because we have got our center. So what encouraged me most is that if you move forward with a good intention to help your people are much more philanthropists, and they come forward to help you, whatever they have got. And we had quite a bit of corpus, and we nearly 3/4 our corpus was spent in this. But we don't mind, we'll collect it again. But we, to the best of our satisfaction, we have saved quite a bit of human life. And we have established the centers where these patients can be treated in the interior of Sindh and even in the periphery of Punjab. And that is worth spending the money, that is worth motivating the young generation, that is worth even motivating the government, because government at the end has been cooperating with us. So until the doctors themselves, they move, the society will not move. The doctors have to take the leadership when the problems or epidemics like this come up. So if the doctors are leading, if they are the people who are leading the public, public will come forward, will help. We had to pay a very heavy price. We lost nearly 4 of our colleagues in this corona epidemics, and that was a great loss. But I don't know how many thousand people have been saved. So there was human loss, financial loss can be compensated, but the human loss cannot be compensated, except for the satisfaction there are people who are encouraged to come forward and help in these circumstances.
Yeah. Well, Leena, are you speaking? Leena, I think you might be on mute.
Beg your pardon?
It is indeed amazing how in the midst of this pandemic, doctors are the real heroes and how they've, sacrificed themselves, at the same time saved thousands and millions of lives throughout the world by now, and so selflessly, and you guys continue to do so. And to that point, it seems that SIUT has, expanded far beyond just renal transplants and just urology services, and it seems that there's a whole breadth of healthcare services that SIUT now provides. So my question, Dr. Seema, if you could elaborate a little bit more about what other healthcare services the institution provides.
Okay, so Leena, as you must have known that SIUT has started as an 8-bedded unit in Civil Hospital, Karachi. And from there on, it has undergone a huge need-based transformation over the last 4 decades, which not only resulted in offering a comprehensive urology, nephrology, and transplantation care augmented with state-of-the-art clinical and laboratory services, radiological services, but also, in addition, SIUT was a trailblazer, I would say, in establishing the facilities like pediatric urology and nephrology services, which were not offered by any hospital, both in private and public sector at that time. And this is, I'm talking about 16 years back when we were starting these services. It also took initiative in introducing bioethics in Pakistani healthcare system and established our first bioethics center of the country. So our expansion is basically need-driven, and most notably our oncology services. So we have started with taking care of the cancer patients just related to the kidney system, but later on it encompasses almost all the systems. And recently, a couple of years back, we have started breast oncology as well. So this is one of the domain what SIUT is taking care of in terms of expansion according to the need. But also SIUT fulfills the entire spectrum of the patient needs under one roof. So this is our driving principle, that we don't want to send our patient for any diagnostic modality or treatment facility. We want to provide everything in one building or under one roof. However, the SIUT has not confined itself to Karachi and decided to take healthcare delivery to patient doorstep, as we realize the majority of our patients are coming from Sindh, right? So we have developed different satellite centers in Karachi and within Sindh. Our SIUT sector is fully functional, being a hospital, a dialysis center, and Larkana. Various other projects are in the pipeline. So from urology, nephrology, and transplantation to what SIUT started with, it has now expanded and incorporated all these services. Also, hepatobiliary, liver transplantation, infectious diseases, and you can name it. I'm not able to justify your question because from 3 departments, it has gone up to 68 departments at present. Wow. Over the few years, we have seen as a pediatric nephrologist that large number of pediatric patients are coming to SIUT who have lost their kidney, which could be prevented by timely intervention. So we have tried to create awareness among primary care physicians. And also with this, we have realized the need of pediatric training. And for example, mashallah, we are in the 5th year of our pediatric nephrology training program. And we have trained almost 20 nephrologists that they are serving at different areas of the country. And I think this is the greatest contribution of SIUT to create this capacity in the Pakistani healthcare system. One more thing about the Children's Hospital, which is very dear to all of us. According to the need, as the number of patients are increasing despite all efforts, SIUT is constructing a 200-bedded pediatric urology and nephrology hospital, and hopefully it will be functional anytime next year.
Wow! So it's it's a separate children's hospital that's going to focus on just pediatric patients and their needs and their services entirely.
Absolutely.
That's very impressive.
Actually,
thank you so much for that. Go ahead, Dr. Rivzi.
Yes, I think as Dr. Seema Hashmi has described, the length and breadth of the pediatric services they are offering. We have established a GI, we have established the very big cancer center, which wasn't here, and we are expanding that center. And we are taking the branches of all these centers to the nearby cities like Hyderabad, Lakhana, and Sakhar, and now we are bordering on Punjab. The other thing is that we are very much involved in teaching and training of the young doctors, technologists, technicians, and researchers. We are trying to establish, with the help of Professor Naqi Zafar, a research center, which we think will be great help, and that will be the play a key role in training our own doctors, our sisters, our researchers. That is going to be great help to us. So far, the question is concerned that I think we have got an open field to work. It's just for us to get our thing involved, get the younger generation motivated, get the more and more doctors and nurses and volunteers to come forward and expand it, because it is within our reach. We have, as a Pakistani, we are proud that we have created a system in which, without asking help for anybody, we can run our own healthcare system. Before that, everybody was supposed to pay when they entered the hospital. Now, because of our philosophy, which we have practiced, which is the government public partnership, is because this we raise the fund, but at the same time we have got transparency, and we are touching every corner of the country. We started with dialysis, then we came to transplantation, then we came to cancer services, then we expanded services. The same way we started nephrology, and then nephrology, we went on tissue typing, and we went on renal transplantation, and then we embarked on liver transplantation. So our ambitions rightly are well according to the need of our country, and I think this can be met in this country, can be successful in this country. Just we have to keep faith in our people, and we should not disappoint our people. If they are doing something, it should be open to them, and we are doing our best not to disappoint our people. So far, people used to laugh when we used to say that we will provide healthcare free with dignity. That was the biggest joke, even in the World Congresses, when I presented the idea, the philosophy that this can be done. People just laughed at it, and they said, how it can happen, it can be done. So there I used to say, the government functionaries of Pakistan, you do not know the people of Pakistan, how generous, how kind, how sharing they are. And with the help of the God, we can say that our people have not disappointed us. And we have not said no to anybody. We have not said no, but say, for example, dialysis. We dialyze everybody who needs dialysis without any charge. We transplant everybody who needs transplantation, provided he has got an ethical donor. We have got no problem. Having transplanted, the most important thing, I think, which I would like to let you remember, that following transplant may not be very costly, but lifelong medication follow-up is very costly. Even in United States of Africa or America or in Britain, nowhere. But we are providing and taking all the responsibility of a patient who we have transplanted. Not only that, we follow lifelong the patient with the medication, and if they get any problem, they have got right to come back in the hospital and be admitted. So this is a facility which is not available anywhere. And belonging to a third world country or a poor country, we have got all the adjectives and adverbs attached to us. But here, when it comes to human sharing, when it comes to humanity, I think we are next to none.
Yeah, and it's truly amazing and a model and inspiration for the rest of the world. And so happy to have this broadcast and get the story out to more people. And you know, one of the things I live here in the Silicon Valley in America. And, you know, we're known as an innovative place in the world where new ideas come and take hold. And SIUT, I think of as an innovative institution. So much of what you've done has not been done before. And I wanted to address this next question to Dr. Naqi. And you know, like I just said, the record of innovation of SIUT is so impressive. What are some of the major obstacles?
I didn't quite get your question. Your voice wasn't clear.
And challenge that you face as an organization, and how have you overcome?
Yes. Professor Rivzi's philosophy of free with dignity to remain at the cutting edge of technology obviously brings a lot of challenges, and we get patients from all over Pakistan who come to us. So we had to, living in a developing country, you can't imagine the kind of facilities that you have in, for example, in North America. I'll give you some of the examples which challenges that we felt. Now, when you are dialyzing 1,200 patients a day, you need electricity and continuous electricity, and you are doing dialysis 24/7. So what to do? You have generators, they become costly. So we said we'll buy our own gas turbines. Everybody laughed at us, but we invested in 2 gas turbines, and we invested 3 crore rupees to get a pipeline, gas pipeline from 4 kilometers. But then we had 2 gas turbines which would run 12 hours, and the costs came down more than 50%. But at least we were able to ensure continuous supply of electricity. Obviously, there is always need for funds. So different methods were employed how to generate funds. I think we were the first one who said that you don't have to come to us. You know, modern banking hadn't started, so we had a collection service that people would go to people's homes and collect the funds if they had difficulty, because not people were aware of the internet banking hadn't taken place. People had to come and give cash or donations. The other problem has been, and that's one of the biggest challenges, was a lot of our people come from the villages, and they have no place to stay when they come to Karachi, especially transplant patients. So Professor Rizvi decided to buy a few places around here, rent a few apartments, so that our transplant patients who come here cannot afford to live can be given accommodation nearby. But then the footpaths around SIUT were full of people, and they developed a tent city. And that's when we decided that responding to the need of the patients, let's go to their doorsteps. Because for some people, it's very even expensive. They can't afford to come from far areas of Karachi. So we decided to open dialysis centers within Karachi so that people would be able to go. So there are 5 dialysis centers in the city of Karachi. When you do things like this, as Professor Rizvi has said, we have a great nation. We are great people, very philanthropist people. And over the years, people have helped us, and then they have motivated the government to help us also. So somebody donated an entire hospital in an area called Korangi, which is about 20 kilometers from here. And that serves the area of Karachi and near the airport, which is another 20 kilometers from here. So we were able to establish a dialysis center. The many people come from at least 500 kilometers. So Professor Rizvi said that they can't afford to come. They would miss their dialysis or they would miss their medicines for transplant. So we took a step to move 500 kilometers from Karachi. Now, where to find expertise in a city like Sakha? And it was our staff and faculty, and it has been running for the last 5 years, that we used to go interns for weeks or 2 weeks, and we were able to, now we are dialyzing more than 400 patients in Sakha. We've even done a few transplants in Sakha. And so those facilities are expanding. As Professor Rizvi said earlier, the government is helping us to establish a general hospital in Sakha, which is about to be completed. And a cancer hospital is going to come up in Khairpur, again funded by the government. And by after the Eid, we are starting a dialysis center in Larkana, which will also cater for about a couple of hundred patients. So the challenges come to us and we do innovation. One of the very important things that I wish to share with you is that we used to buy dialyzers for $20 a piece. And so we said, how can we get it cheap? And so it was decided that we'll buy a bulk container from Japan. So where are we going to keep those thousands of dialyzers? And Professor Rizvi said, we'll make a warehouse. And so we did, and we bought a container full of dialyzers at the cost of $7 a piece, say $13. But then you are dialyzing so many patients. It happens everywhere in the world. There is a very modern dialyzer reuse system, which ensures that you can use a dialyzer at least 2 or 3 times. And many of the centers in Europe were using it. It's a costly system, computerized, but we said, no, we will invest in it. So by dialyzer reuse, we were able to reduce the cost to $1 a dialyzer. So this way, we are able to serve more people. I'll give you an example of innovation. There was a fear of surgery in Pakistan. So a lot of people would harbor stones and would not come for surgery. Then we say, okay, we'll buy. In those days, lithotripters are very expensive. Agha and Abdi donated 1 lithotripter. And you'd be glad to know there are 4 lithotripters working in Karachi in SIUT today and in Sakha. And we more than 100 patients a day. And so when people realized, especially people in the villages who do not understand, are not educated, that stones can be removed without surgery, that unearthed a huge population of stone formers who would eventually end up in failure because of neglected stones. So our volume of stone patients increased at least a couple of hundred times because people would then come for lithotripsy, shock wave, break a stone, and they would go away. It's a day care procedure. And they were so happy because they would come for a day in the morning, have the treatment done, by evening they'd be able to go home without being subjected to surgery. Our medical social workers, we had to develop medical social services because many of the patients who came to us did not understand, were not educated, had language problems. So you had to explain everything to them, even what is dialysis, what will happen after transplant. So we had to develop extensive medical social services to be able to make these patients understand who are coming from the villages the kind of treatment that we are offering to them. Especially so when you transplant, these patients become in a compromise. So you have to go to their homes and teach them how to keep hygiene so that they don't get infections. Um, so these are the things the challenges that we face in a developing country. Infrastructure-wise, we have been very lucky. People have donated, the government has given us land, and people have donated entire buildings. Cancer hospital was donated by a family. A new transplant tower has been donated by a family. So funds, there is no shortage. We've been there for 50 years now. Our nation is very philanthropic. People are very generous. And when they see our, our marketing is really done by our own patients because so many thousands are treated and they benefit, and they are our biggest sponsors really, so they motivate the society.
That's amazing. I mean, I have had personal experience. One of my cousins has been the recipient of a transplant at SIUT, and while he and his sister, who was the donor, were recovering, they stayed at our house, and so I've been very intimately involved with seeing the great work that you guys are doing at SIUT, and it's amazing. I have another question for you, Dr. Naqi. Before we started the broadcast, we were discussing how, and just now you've mentioned how SIUT is going more in, penetrating more into the rural areas of Sindh. And I'm sure there comes a set of challenges. As you mentioned, there's the need for medical social workers to explain to these rural patients the need for these procedures and how they work. Would you like to share an anecdote or a story of your experiences with patients from rural areas and how you overcome these challenges?
You see, it's difficult to explain to them. I'll give you an example, a sad story really. A lady post-delivery had renal failure, and I actually know the person. And so they had come from the village, and she had to be dialyzed. And the husband said that I've got two small kids. We live in the village, and I can't afford to come and have her dialyzed all the time. Who's going to look after my kids? And he was supposed to be the donor because there was a donor in the family. He said, I can't donate because if something happens to me, everything was explained that you'll be fine, but no, something happens to me, then what will happen to my children? My children need a mother, so I can marry again and they will be looked after. And after a while, they had some dialysis and then they went away, that they'll be treated, she'll be treated by a peer in the village. We explained everything, but it didn't make sense to him. He said, no, she'll be treated by a peer. We have peers in the village and they can she has got some kind of jinn on her, and that's why this has happened to her. Eventually, she died, and he married again for his children. So it's difficult to explain to people in different situations. That's a bigger challenge, really. to convince people. Although everything is provided free, the medicines are given, but there is lack of understanding and perhaps that's one of the reasons that we have not been able to convince our society on diseased organ donation, which Professor Rizvi would be more appropriate to highlight. This is a social problem that we have failed to promote diseased organ donation. I think perhaps for this very reason of lack of understanding in our people and lack of education.
Absolutely, Dr. Rivzi, we would like to hear more about the challenges SIUT faces in deceased organ donations, and Pakistan is still.
Thank you very much. As Naqi Zafar said, that our greatest problem is to promote disease organ donation. And this is something which is going on everywhere in all the Islamic countries, but in Pakistan, unfortunately, we have failed, absolutely failed to motivate our clergies. We went to mosque, went to Imam Balga, went to synagogue, we went to church, all the churches, but they all promised, but they are not prepared to come on the television and talk to the public. They avoid it, and that is the greatest tragedy. We have got in Karachi nearly 1,500 deaths out of accident every year. Means we can transplant about 3,000 kidneys, about 3,000 corneas, we can transfer 3,000 lungs, and at least 3,000 liver as well. But we are not doing that, in spite of the fact that we have got technology available, that trained doctors are here, but they're not able to do it. And everybody promises yes, but when it comes to sit on the pulpit and preach the people, they all back out. That is the greatest tragedy. If we cannot convince our clergy, and then who else will help us? Then coming to the doctors, unfortunately, our doctors are not prepared to take the responsibility of convincing people to, if there is something like brain death, they are not prepared to accept that. And they think that if they proclaim the brain death, they will have to prove it, and why on earth they should go for all that rigmarole. So these are the inherent weaknesses in my own profession, and these are the tragedies which how history after 20 years will describe that so many people died at the same time. In one city, nearly 500 people died of accident, and they were buried with 1,000 cornea, were buried 1,000 lung, were buried with about 2,000 kidneys, liver, they were buried. And along with them, we buried our young boys, girls, young people who would have survived out of one piece of the organ. How history will justify this, I don't know. They will have a very dark picture about us. The future generation will have a very bad picture about us, that we couldn't keep our people alive, and we buried them along with the organs which we were burying along with them, would have saved the life. And neither doctors can exonerate themselves, non-medical profession can exonerate, not bureaucracy, not academia. I think we all will be put in a corner, and we will blame that is we who promoted these deaths. That is, no doctor would like to come forward and say, rarely any doctor will come forward. No person from the community will come forward to say that yes, it is done, should be done. At the same time, the media, which has always been great help to us, They used to come, but now they also are uh, uh, having a cold feet. They are not promoting. So people have forgotten the topic that where in one city, nearly 15,000 people are dying yearly of organ failure, and more than that, people are dying with the organ. How it can be explained? We are burning our living along with our dead. The people who, if I am get a brain stroke, anything like that, I have got two corneas to donate. I have got two lungs to donate. I have got a heart to donate. I've got two kidneys to donate. So many lives can be saved. But you bury a young man who needs his organ, and many people who need at least 8, 10 people can always. So we bury all those 8, 10 people along with the dead body. Where are our philosophers? Where are our thinkers? Where are our actually the media men? Where are our jurists and journalists? We don't know. But it's something how history will take us, how they will put us in the category. Very different.
That's very true. What you said, that when someone with healthy organs passes away, they're buried with the opportunity of possibly helping another 10 or 12 other people who could have benefited from their death, and something good could have come out of that. It's very unfortunate. I'd like to also, you mentioned COVID-19 and SIUT's response to the pandemic when we first started the broadcast. So COVID has opened so many issues in the healthcare system, so many loopholes and so many gaps. And I would really like, our viewers to understand how SIUT has responded to the pandemic situation, and what are some great lessons that SIUT can impart to other healthcare institutions across the globe, and how to respond to a situation like this.
Frankly speaking, I feel a little guilty of that because I started late. We being the surgical unit and part of surgery and renal diseases and transplantation, we thought that this is not our job, somebody else will take. And we waited for about 1 month, and there where I feel myself guilty. And we thought that physicians and other people are going to take it over, not our job. But when one midnight, most of us were sitting there, we found so many people are coming and they are suffering from this epidemic, this disease. So we started looking after them. And then we thought that how long we can wait for the other people to wake up. And whatever such a thing we have got, our whole team decided that we have to jump into it and solve it. And then after some time, they will take it over. It didn't happen. We got in small unit and we went deeper and deeper and deeper till the end that we had to open a large ward with COVID and all the things which were required to protect the people, protect the patient and the medication. So we became actually victim of circumstances, but we are happy that we did that. And I'm sure quite a few lives been saved by cycling that.
And I'm sure that having an isolation unit and treating coronavirus patients comes at a huge cost, and that is where everyone's donations and help to SIUT becomes very valuable in terms of enabling the institution to
actually, Leena, let me tell you, when it comes to problem, when it comes to disease, when it comes to epidemic, we don't wait for people to come forward and donate. No, we don't wait. We have got whatever, we have got our corpus. We take the money for the corpus. Sometimes we even take the loan from the banks or the medication from the companies, and we start working without waiting whether we are going to be paid by the society, we are paid by the government or not. So that is a component that once there is a problem, don't wait for donation, don't wait for the government help, don't wait for anybody else's help. What you have got, take it upon yourself and try to salvage the life, salvage the people as far as possible. And then as the time passes, things will be replaced, or even if they're not replaced, that is what they were for us. So we maintain our purpose for these emergencies, and we know that our people are very poor. 85% people now they live below the line, and uh, uh, how many percentage of people they sleep without a meal at night? How many people have got proper dress on their body? The minimum requirement is that should be that somebody should have a little food in his stomach, should have a piece of cloth on his head, and protection from the disease. If these basic things are not available for the people, how we can justify ourselves to be a human being, to be a civilized society? How can we say? And if somebody doesn't believe, I will show that this is what's happening. Still, there are people on the footpath begging for food. If you're not here, I can take you to interior of Chinda Punjab. See what is happening. Not everybody is rich. Not everybody is better. Most people are working, make the human need. And as regard the medical profession and medicine, I'm sure that government is making all the effort, but only government cannot succeed until there is partnership between the community and the government, and they both join hands to help the people with the hunger, against disease, against illiteracy. These things which are the greatest enemy are these things. So until unless we collaborate with the authority, whosoever it may be, I don't think these things can be met with. SIOT is just a very small center to make people believe that it is something which is possible. We can survive without foreign aid in health. We don't need the community government partnership is good enough to protect us. Why we should go for what is AIDS? We don't need it. If we collaborate and if we support each other, if we develop faith in each other, we haven't got the faith.
Your spirit is remarkable, Dr. Rizvi, and all of your fellow doctors, that you don't wait for funding or money to pour in, and you jump right in and address issues as soon as they arise. And on behalf of everybody who's ever been your patient, we are truly, truly thankful to have doctors such as yourselves servicing Pakistan.
Actually, sorry to interrupt. Actually, I am very lucky to have a very good team. My team members are much more eager and keen to help the people than I, and they motivate me. So the whole actually success or failure depends on the same team. So I'm lucky to have a very good team of doctors, physicians, pharmacologists, nurses, even our people who are involved in the paramedics job, our clerks, our friends, our ward boys, they all are great help. So you cannot have a successful program where you claim that you are going to provide help to the people free with dignity until unless your team believes in it. Everybody believes. If they don't believe in it, they cannot do it. So the credit goes to the whole team of us. This team which is working and doing everything. The team which is responsible for all this success. I'm just sitting on the board, nothing else.
Dr. Izzy, I'm sure it's a little bit more than you just sitting on the board, and I think we're all so inspired by the team that you've built and the organization that SIUT is. And we're coming to the end of the broadcast, and I always love to talk to founders like yourself and ask a question about, you started SIUT with a vision in mind, and that was a long time ago, and it has come so far, but there's still lots of work to do. We're in the year 2020, and a pandemic has hit with a new challenge, and there's always going to be new challenges. So if you were to allow yourself for a moment to dream 10 years from now, and everything went perfectly for SIUT, 10 years from now in 2030, what would the organization look like?
I think it will be a organization which will be educating and producing its own young men. We will be producing and training our own nurses and technologists, and then we should be able to develop a research center where we should be, with our keen desire, where we will be developing our indigenous technology, medicine, and our training center where our people will train. We will not need to go anywhere else, because we have got all the facilities which we think, if we utilize, if we join our hand, there is no reason that we cannot train our surgeons here, our technologists here, our pathologists here, nursing here. We can develop all these facilities here. And I think until we develop, become self-sufficient in our manpower, in our medicine and instruments, there is no reason why we. If we can make atom bomb, then why on earth we cannot prepare the medical instruments and other things? There's no reason why you cannot. We have got the best devoted people in the country. They are much more devoted than I can be, I can assure you. We have got best, today we have got the 50% of our people are young, and they are between 20 and 25 years of age. They are in the most productive age. That is the biggest, I think, economic support which we have got our country. We have got excellent teachers, and our expatriates, if you provide them facilities, every expatriate is keen to come and help the country, provided we provide a stage for them to work and give them confidence that they come here, they will not be disappointed, and the community and the country will support them. Until unless we just try to get all our resources together, we will not make progress. They should come by. We should provide them facilities, safety, securities, and the platform to play, and they will change the fate of this country. And those who are here at the moment, we have got the best graduates. We are going to open a training center. We are going to open a postgraduate center in our new city, center we have created, and we can assure you that we will have taken to none. Our human being, our human power is excellent. You motivate a ward assistant, a nurse to do certain job, give her sense of belonging and participation. She is the best. You don't have to say anything. So we are lucky to have excellent manpower. We're lucky to have a public which is very understanding and supportive. We are lucky to have almost everything in this country if we just join our hands. And academically, I think we need a lot. And I think if we start our indigenous centers, we will progress. And I tell you that we are planning a indigenous center. We've got the land, we are building the building, and we are going to open an Institute of Transplant Sciences and Biotechnology. It's an Institute of Transplant Sciences and Biotechnology, and this will be the biggest one. So far, we have got a center here in Karachi, 2 sister centers. We have got one center in Sakkar, which is going to be quite big one, and with 1,200 bed hospital. We are having one center in Larkana. We tried the center in Lahore, but unfortunately, the people there, they took away the land, and we are going to open it again. We are not disappointed with these things. And है ना, जरा नम होती है मिट्टी बड़ी जखेज है, तो वही है कि हमें we have to make the effort, but our people have burnt their fingers so many times that they don't listen anything. We have to take them confidence. We have to give them surety that whatever we say, we are going to do it, and we will be successful.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We're at the hour mark in the broadcast, so I think it's time for us to sign off. And I think it's such a wonderful vision, and it's really a continuation of all that you've accomplished thus far. And thank you so much for your time. I know it's late in Pakistan right now, and appreciate everybody who's tuned into this broadcast to learn more about this amazing organization. I want to specifically thank Dr. Rivzi, Dr. Naqi, and Dr. Seema for spending such of their precious time with us and giving us a little bit of the background about how SIUT works and the vision for this amazing organization. So thanks everybody for joining.
If I have got one word to say,
sure.
When you talk of SIUT, please never forget the team. SIUT is creation of a team of doctors, technicians, basic scientists, paramedics, and the administrative staff, and the public of Pakistan. All we can claim, we are proud that we are only institution which had been created by people of Pakistan, and we are proud of that. We have got no poetry or anything like that. We are proud of it that we are. The concept is Pakistani, the supporters are Pakistani, the workers are Pakistani, and everything which we are coming to Pakistan. Of course, we have acquired the technology, we are still acquiring, and will keep on acquiring with our foreign friends.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rivzi. Indeed, the backbone of the institution is the people that uphold it, and under your guidance and inspiration, you've not only trained a fantastic team of doctors, but also inspired millions of Pakistanis to back and support this cause. And having said that, to everyone who's watching, please continue to extend your support to SIUT.
When everything stops, there is someone who steps forward. Someone who holds our hand. Someone who is closer in this trying hour. Save lives of thousands of dialysis, transplants and cancer patients with your zakat and donations. Help us provide free medication, ventilators and life-saving gears for corona patients. Because SIUT is yours.